What's up? What's up? What's up? Dante here. Barstool Backstage. I am seated with the Funk Lords. Huge fan, fellas.
Yes, sir.
The one and only P Thug and Dave One. What's up, guys?
How are you?
Thank you guys so much for coming through.
Man, thanks for having us.
We got, of course, my co-host Colin, who's on baby duty via Zoom.
I told
Philly.
Dante, I need to be zoomed in. I cannot miss Chromeo. This is a dream of mine. I love Chromeo to death. So, boys, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So, brand new album, Adult Contemporary, just dropped. We're adults now, huh?
Yeah. I
That's-
mean, look at, you know.
Yo, we're literally adult contemporary.
Podcasting with a baby.
That's the thing.
Responsible adult.
Yep.
There is nothing less respectable as an adult than podcasting with a baby. This is pathetic.
Yeah, no, but it's on the contrary, it's honorable. It's so cool.
I heard, so glanced over it, obviously got the media talking points from the PR, did all that whole thing. And I saw we're singing about curling irons on this one.
Yeah, there's a little bit. There's a bar. There's a bar about curling irons.
What's going on? Are we growing up, or what the hell's happening here?
I mean, we've been doing this for 20 years, and it's like,
Which is crazy.
and
Literally to the day.
yeah, to the day.
Wow.
Yeah, our first album came out February 17th, 2004.
Damn.
So we're like a day off.
That's pretty. Was that planned? I mean,
No.
wait, that wasn't planned.
Wasn't planned.
No.
No.
Holy shit.
We had no. I mean, we forgot when the first album came out.
That's wild.
Yeah, crazy.
Wow. I think what's amazing for you guys too. Me and Dante were talking about this before you guys came in. You guys have stayed the same. I mean, sonically, you've grown, you've changed, songwriting has changed, but the industry has changed so much around you guys. Has it been weird to kind of navigate going 20 years in this industry from where it started to where you are now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's. I mean, I don't know if weird is the term. Yes, weird, but also like challenging.
Challenging is, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I think this will happen with podcasting as well, right? Podcasting is young, all things considered, and wow, I just did a legal touch. That was cool. Yeah, and it's probably going to evolve. Like platforms will evolve, like payment structures will evolve, competition will evolve. There's probably a few little
Technology will evolve.
You guys probably have a couple little Barstool Backstage mini-me's running around in the podcast sphere, perhaps? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how do you navigate all this with grace, with gratitude, but also with constant longevity in mind? And that for us is the focus.
Was longevity always a focus for you guys? Like, did you know this was a long-term partnership, or was it in the beginning just like, we're going to make records, see what happens, maybe we'll be here in 20 years? But like, obviously, you guys are a true friendship, but like, looking at it, did you expect to be Chromeo in 20 years?
No clue.
In the beginning, no. But still today, like, yes, we talk about longevity, but we're talking about longevity retroactively, because we've kind of like internalized what it takes to have a long-lasting relationship, musical and personal. So, as long as we're both still hungry and we still want to keep doing this and we still have a passion for what we do, for funk music, for spreading the word, then it's not really a calculated thing. It's just what we do.
Yeah, and and that effort goes into everything you do every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think everybody here is passionate about what we're doing, so it's kind of the same thing.
What's continued to inspire you guys? Like, as Colin said, it's been really like admirable that you have stayed true and haven't really deviated too much. I mean, your sound's altered a little bit. I know one of the things you are proud about on this album is it's kind of a return to your roots.
It's a return to our roots, but with a bit of like, but at the same time, it's like kind of slicker and a little more polished, more like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, you guys would probably describe it better than us, but because it's always hard to talk about your own stuff with perspective.
Oh, yeah. There's nothing worse than when somebody says, "Oh, what type of music are you guys? Like, what kind of music do you make?" It's like, dude, I don't know. I'm me. This is what I make.
Yeah, but there is a return to kind of like, the core of me and P and these kind of electro beats. But then we added all these arrangements and
in contrast with like the new sort of concept of the record, which is adult themes, mature themes,
mature relationships, but with a funny twist. So like you said, curling irons, or we talk about, insomnia, which I'm sure you can speak volumes about with,
living it, homie. Living it.
So we got a song called Ballad of the Insomniacs, and it's kind of like turning this into fun, cause like the youthful spirit is a lot. You keep it with you, right? And like the humor, the sense of humor, you keep it with you. So instead of like making this fantasy world where we're all like kids, it's more like, how do you keep that swag when you're an adult? And how do you know what I mean? Like that's the challenge.
That's what I was. That's
a good point.
I mean that. Sorry for fucking up that question. That's what I was originally asking: is how do you continue to stay inspired to write songs like this? As I'm sure as you've gotten older, is the party lifestyle kind of toned down a little bit?
The party lifestyle never really influenced us, or it did to some degree, maybe on Fancy Footwork. We're all going out and everything, but like, I think we both have different things. So obviously P should answer this too. For me, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like the sound that we came out with 20 years ago has kind of become very much integrated into pop music.
100%.
Right? We all know this. So me, when I hear like a good pop song that has like elements of what we sort of brought to the table and we had to fight for, but the pop song is good. You know what I mean? It's beast.
And
there's a lot of good ones.
It's almost everything now. And it's
great.
I tell people this all the time. It's disco bass. Like disco has made a huge comeback.
100%. So when there's something that I hear on the radio in an Uber or whatever, and it's hot, then I'm like, okay, let's go. It inspires me.
Give us some examples. What are you feeling right now?
I love, everything Weeknd does, Dua Lipa. I love the new Houdini joint. I love this stuff. It's like, it doesn't mean I listen to the whole, love, but there's something I hear. Oh, I love the drums. Oh, I love the bass. And when you have a lot of the people who make those records come up to us and are like, yo, we're huge fans and everything. So it'd be so corny of us to like hate or be like, oh my God, you're copying my thing. Like, first of all, we're all copying something. So that's already, that's bull, right? But it'd be so corny for us to kind of be sour about this stuff. Why not turn it into motivation and inspiration and make you want to level up your craft? So me, I'm very much in tune and I take inspiration from everything. I think P's got you're more of a funk archaeologist. You're more like digging for records or whatever. You could talk because we're different in the way we function. So I think it's important to hear.
Like Dave said, I'm a funk purist, but throughout all the iterations and throughout all the eras that we've been through in music, I always found, and that's the same way we choose people we collaborate with, right? We find a common thread. Everybody's funky in a way.
Definitely.
So, and that works for our references also. We'll reference Steely Dan and Kiss and ZZ Top as funky bands also. And the same way we do that is the same way we find something today and we're like, like they've said, Dua Lipa there's some funky shit in there.
Yeah.
And for us, for me and for Dave, I think that the more of this, the better. We're not protective over funk music.
Or funky
funk music is our reference. It's not our full identity. Our full identity is what we make of our references.
Mama's Boy, you know what I mean? Like Mama's Boy didn't come from a funk record. It came from us. It came from like our sense of humor and our personalities. And then we're like, all right, let's make this funky.
There's not one single funky guitar in Mama's Boy. The funk is in the lyrics and the humor.
The vibe.
Love it.
Yeah.
Right? So today to see all this, it's inspiring because 20 years ago when we started, we were alone.
Yeah.
Journalists were clowning us. Nobody was believing that we were serious.
Underdogs, you know what I mean?
We came out, we were fighting, man. People were clowning us, like, because the 80s and what we were referencing was too close for comfort for people. We just never gave a shit.
Hold on, I gotta throw a flag on this. Who was clowning you guys?
Like
I still remember.
name.
What are we
Name
talking?
them by
We're talking
name.
like 2004, 2005, right?
Now we were getting.
Dude, I remember like you guys were. I mean, that whole indie electro sound was huge back then. But your guys' sound was so refreshing in the, especially in the clubs.
Yeah,
like your shit was so good in the clubs. I remember being like, "Who the fuck are these guys?"
Yeah.
And then
for you guys, yeah.
But then digging deeper, that was when you found like, all right, these guys are like jokesters. Like a lot of these songs are like,
you know, I don't know. I mean, yeah, jokes. We honestly like is like you could be a jokesters but not be a joke band,
right? But
and I think
fun.
that's the nuance.
I think it was fun, like fun music. And
we never took ourselves fully seriously, but we always took the craft serious. And I think that's
that.
like, you know what I mean? And I think that's like the big nuance. And I think that's what, at the end of the day, when the dust settles, the haters are going to hate, blah, 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 blah. And then if you take your craft serious, at one point, people are just like, damn, like this is really, this is rock solid. And then you're like, okay, they live this, right? You know what I mean? Like they
100%.
really live this. This is them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of collaborators and people that you work with, what you were just talking about, two I gotta ask about. Obviously, one good friend of yours, I think, LaRue.
Yep.
Seeing you guys brought her out at Coachella last year, and fucking
people went nuts.
Like one of the best videos from that entire festival. How the hell did that all come about, that friendship? And
15, 17 years ago.
It's been that long?
Yeah, we hit each other on MySpace, and it was like, yo, we love your stuff. Oh, she loves our stuff. Cool. And then like...
MySpace?
We were coming up at the same time.
Up at the same time. And then we did a couple sessions together back in the day. And then when we made this album, we were like, yo, we like you mentioned before, we kind of wanted to harken back to those days. Because like you said, that indie electro... To us, it was like a golden. I think it is a golden era in music. The best.
Agree.
Like this is like hip hop in '94.
Do you know what they're calling it now?
What, Indie Fleas?
No, blog.
Bloghouse.
Bloghouse.
No, we called it like that back then.
Wait, for real?
It was called that back then.
I saw like these guys are putting out mixtapes, Bloghouse mixtapes of that whole era.
Yeah.
Because that was the main distribution.
Because you couldn't find it. Like blogs were Spotify back then, right?
100%.
So yeah, and I think when you look back, it was a golden era in music, the same way 1995 hip hop was, and so on. Like maybe it's too soon to really appreciate it, but we can hear it, and so we wanted to reference that era, and then have one guest on the album that carries that weight. Because our last couple albums had so many guests, which you're probably going to ask about next. Where's the other one?
Blue to Tiger.
Oh, yeah.
Huge fan.
She's amazing.
Yo, badass bassist.
Big time.
Badass.
Yeah.
But don't sleep on her brother. Her brother Rex is a drummer.
He played on record a lot. Yeah.
He's on 5 songs. Yeah, he's on 5 songs. She's on 1 song, but she came in last minute. We were like, we have to have you on the record. It was like the last night in the studio before we handed in the record, and she came through at like midnight. But Rex, her brother, is a mean drummer, and so we have him on 5 songs.
How'd you guys all meet?
We had mutual friends, and her management knew us, and it's the kind of thing. It sort of happened like, let's meet up. And she came to the studio and we hung out, and then we were like, oh, we'll make 2 songs for you. And then we did those that little mini kind of single EP or whatever we did for her a couple of years ago. And then that's how the friendship evolved.
Love it. Yeah. Who did you think I was going to ask about?
I thought you were going to ask about some of the features from the last album, like how was it with French Montana or something like that.
Yeah, I was going to ask about actually from a little bit before
Solange?
White Women. Yeah, Solange and Ezra Koenig from Vampire Weekend.
So Ezra's one of my oldest friends.
Really?
Yeah. He's one of my closest friends and one of my oldest friends. And I worked on the last Vampire Weekend album, Father of the Bride.
Yeah. Really? What did you do on Father of the Bride?
Exec produced it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
love
That's
that
why I was up
album.
there with them at the Grammys and stuff. Yeah, I was there from
I
the
had no
jump.
idea.
I picked the single. I mean, I'd rather have him tell it because I don't want to.
Of course.
But yeah.
trust. If you can get him to come on here and talk about it.
Yeah. I'm not. I didn't work on the new one, but I worked on Father of the Bride for a long time with him and with Ariel, and of course, like they were really.
Well, I think the thing that I wanted to ask about though was, and it goes back to kind of the purity of what you guys do.
But I got a funny Ezra story. I'll tell you if I may interrupt.
No, please do.
All right,
Love
so check this out. So I was going to Colombia, in 2000, like 2, 3, 4, whatever, and we had played our first show in New York, our second show in Chromeo history, first show in New York, September 2002. We had 4 songs or 5 songs. And we opened for a bunch of bands at the Bowery Ballroom. We were like first of like 5 or second out of 5.
Great venue. Back then, what was your setup like? Were you DJing or were you
live? He had the talk box. I had a Flying V guitar, and the Bowery Ballroom heavy metal sound guy. First time I see somebody play disco with a Flying V. It was insane. And Pete came out eating a moon pie on stage. It was ridiculous. And then the next day at Columbia, Ezra comes up to me and goes like, "Bro, I love Chromeo." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I don't even have a song out. We don't even have music out." He was like, "Nah, I saw you at Bowery."
Shut up.
And then we became homies ever since. He didn't even have Vampire Weekend back then. So that's how we got him involved. And, like we're still super tight, he and I.
That's very
That's the
Years.
story, yeah.
He also has a sax solo on there.
He has a sax
the song.
solo on one of the songs that like actually now is, I don't think it's on platforms because it was like a bonus track on a UK version. And we brought him out Coachella 2011 and he played sax with us on stage. Yeah, there's
I
all
didn't
these.
even know he played sax.
Yeah, he's nice too.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's to
Crazy
me like
stories, right?
when I think about you guys, and you brought it up earlier in the conversation, but you can find the funk in anything.
Yes.
I don't think of that. I don't think of Ezra Koenig, and I don't think of Vampire Weekend as a funk band.
Nah, they got
But
funky parts.
Yes, they do. But I'm saying like, this is also a funny thing to think about. Like there was a poll back in the early 2000s of who was the whitest band of all time, and Vampire Weekend won the award.
Yeah, but that's not accurate actually because
I know, I agree.
I mean, first of all, these categories are crazy, right? It makes no sense. So we're not going to get into like a cultural. Let's not even
Sure.
get. We're not going to waste our time with cultural studies, but you know what I'm saying, or like these kind of like, especially not at Barstool, but. This is straight up wrong because Vampire Weekend's whole foundation is Paul Simon Graceland, or a large part of their DNA is Paul Simon Graceland, which is Paul Simon's African record.
Yep.
And all those little guitar things they do.
Cape Cod Kwasa Kwasa was the first thing I thought of.
And that's lifted from a lot of like, African guitar players, Vieux Touré and all those guys. So like that doesn't apply. I reject that.
Never
category.
knew that.
I do too.
Yeah, they're
My
big.
mind's blown right
Bro,
now.
listen to Paul Simon Graceland. You're going to hear a lot of what they drew from, and they to their credit, they went and referenced that and made something new. Kind of similar to P&I taking a lot of funk, but being too
A lot of Jerry Curl funk and made it.
Jerry Curl 80s funk and making our thing out of it. That's how creation works, right? You take something, you internalize it, you learn how to master it, you spit it out, and if you've done your homework, it's going to come out as something totally different, and then you break the rules and you mess with it a bit.
Every great artist can admit where they get their sound from. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
there's nothing worse than when an artist will tell you, "I've come up with something wholly original," because it doesn't exist.
It's so
Everybody pulls
cringe.
from somewhere
It's so
else.
cringe when they say
It's
that.
terrible.
I actually really get upset when they say that because, like, at the same time, even if it's not true, even if you really think you're original, which is great, more power to you. Take that opportunity to give somebody else flowers.
Yes.
Make it up. Make it up. Say that you're. Oh man, me. I take it all from REO Speedwagon. Make it up. Give them their flowers. Everybody deserves flowers. You feel me?
I will say, so one of my best friends, Jake, back in Chicago,
Shout to
is
Jake.
obsessed with you guys. And we went, I forget what year it was, but you guys did a New Year's Eve set at Soho House in Chicago.
2018 to 19.
You remember that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But we had a group of friends that, no offense, didn't know who you were. And they were like, who the hell's Chromeo? And he described you guys, the perfect description. He said, they are like if Hall & Oates met Sylvester.
And
I was
we're not worthy.
Dude, I was like, talk about two of the greatest groups of all time.
For sure.
Like to be put, I mean, you're peas blushing over there. Because I would too, because those are two of the best.
Absolutely.
But then, I don't know how I missed this, but after
Oh, I see where you're going.
that, I found out you were on fucking Daryl's house.
Yes.
How did that, dude?
Wow.
How did that happen?
This is the funniest story. So when we first came out, we were kind of trolling because and P was going crazy just trolling people because in the early 2000s, that kind of like 80s music, like we said before, it wasn't considered cool by the musical establishment. So we would go extra hard and big up those bands that people were still kind of clowning. Remember, this is when like Chappelle had the Rick James skit. So like these things were like jokes, you know, like it was like they were almost.
They were still too close.
It was
for
memes.
people's
There were
comfort,
memes
yeah.
before memes existed, right? And Hall & Oates, people thought it was just mullets and like, you know,
Mustache.
oh, there's chic up. Yeah. So we were
clowning Oates and the mustache and the mullet.
So we kept bigging them up, but being serious about it. And, you know, by the way, after that, Hall & Oates became like a Pitchfork band. But like at first, people just thought they were a corny 80s band. They forgot. And we were like, nah. This is the greatest band ever. We're influenced by them. And we were. We were hugely influenced by them. So at one point, it got to them. And then the first one to reach out was Oates. And so word gets to us like, yo, Oates he sees like you guys are bigging them up and he wants to have you guys over to his house in Colorado. And we were like, yeah, sure, no problem. Daryl was like, no. These guys, you're coming to my house. And so because Daryl had his web series, you know, we went to his place in Connecticut and jammed with them.
Wow.
What was that like playing duets of Hall & Oates and Chromeo? I mean, he sang on.
It was insane.
He sang on,
and we did it live too.
That's people don't even know this. We did it live.
We did it live at Bonnaroo.
Wow.
Bonnaroo 20. Look, we sound old, but we're talking about 20 years in the game, right? Bonnaroo 2010. We did a show where it's Daryl and his band and us, and we're doing one Chromeo song that he sings, one Hall & Oates song that we sing, one Chromeo song that he sings. It's on YouTube. It's in a corner of YouTube somewhere.
that's dream, guys.
Yep.
That's dream.
You guys have like, it seems like your like frame of reference for music is pretty shared. You guys have very shared interest. Is there anything that like does separate you? There's a line of demarcation to where like,
I
okay,
think
one
so.
of you will dive into heavy metal, one of you loves like I don't know, like Icelandic
bit.
throat singing.
A couple of different. I mean, in terms of hip hop, I prefer West Coast,
More East Coast.
and there's more East Coast. But also in terms of like everyday sort of music consumption, Dave is more up on the new stuff, and I keep archiving deeper and deeper. You know,
It's like you have to.
it's a balance, right?
I was gonna
Yeah.
say that's a pretty good combination. to have.
Well, imagine. I mean, I could take everything we're saying and transfer it to your discipline, right? So imagine. And I'm not saying. I'm just because I think all of this applies, right?
Yeah.
So imagine one of you dudes is like an AM radio archivist, a talk radio archivist. You're going in and listening to golden era Howard Stern, golden era New York City talk radio when this was a thing. And you're like, bro, we can bring this vibe back because that was like a thing.
Right.
And then another one of you is out there looking at the competition, scouring the internet, being like, oh, what they're doing, school, what they're doing. Okay, now I don't like this. And then you come in together and one of them is like, eyes on the present. One of them is like doing homework and research. And when you collab, it's like you feel like you've got all these bases covered, if that makes sense, right?
It does 100%.
That's kind of how we work.
I think the thing that really stands out and shows the authenticity of what you guys are is there's so many duos or groups that you see that are more business partners than they are friends.
We're that too.
But you're definitely business partners for sure, but you definitely get a sense that you guys love each other. Like that's the thing that I really enjoy about Chromeo, and I think that's why people gravitate towards it.
Yeah, it's like I can't see us breaking up. I mean, I just don't see it. Like I don't see us doing solo. Like what's the point? Like that would suck. Unless P's got secret plans.
I was going to say, this would be a very funny time for him to be like, actually, we need to
what do you
talk
think, P? All right, P, spit it. Come on, now's your time. It's like, I don't see
Well,
it.
Dave,
It's like,
the reason we brought you here today.
yeah, exactly. All right, P, go ahead.
Just kidding.
Break it to me.
Just kidding.
Because, like, yeah, what do you think? I mean, I just feel like it's just like the synergy.
Yeah, I mean, people aren't stupid, you know. As much as the industry is trying to feed them, you know, lies, drama. People are not stupid. They can see when a band is put together by somebody else. They can see when it's a true relationship. They can, you know, people know, and I think that transcends through the camera, through our videos, through our posts, through our humor.
The way we play live.
yeah.
The way we play live.
Yes.
You know, it's
You know what another thing is? When you're a fan of a band and there's friction and or breakups, the heartbreak you feel as a fan, it just destroys you, right? We're not going to give our fans, we don't have that many fans. Like, we're not like a multi-platinum. So the fans we have, we're not going to give them that heartbreak. We're
Thank
not
you.
doing it. I'm not doing
We
that.
appreciate
and that's
We
part of
appreciate that.
you know, we grew up looking up to the Beastie Boys, looking up, you know, and you can tell these dudes grew up in the basement together.
Yeah, the Beasties were huge for us.
You know, same with ZZ Top. You can tell
They never broke up.
Steely Dan. You can tell everybody has a different relationship. We're more like basement, you know, snotty teenager Beastie Boys. But you can tell Steely Dan had a crazy, you know, intellectual relationship, and they just got off of doing their thing, and that's what kept them together all this time until they
No,
died.
Beastie Boys never broke up. There's not a single Beastie Boys solo album.
No, that's why I didn't say that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's so
Yeah.
cool. No, you bring
Yeah,
it up. It's
exactly.
like, that's why these guys are the North Star.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And they're like, they're a great example of when they came out, people thought it was a joke.
Yep.
And then they got deeper and doper. And now they're like the Beatles.
Influenced so
Come
many
on.
other.
Come on. Across disciplines too, not even just music.
We just interviewed. How old was Joey, dude?
Oh, Joey Valence and Bray. I don't know if you guys are on these guys
we
yet.
interviewed these kids last week who are like right out of high school, but
Yeah.
Beastie Boys inspired.
That's
They're
crazy.
blowing up on social media now, and
It's
they're
amazing.
this whole new generation who has no clue who the Beastie Boys are
it's the best.
falling in love with their music.
That's
and
the best. That's
they're
the
introducing
best.
them to all. But not to get onto that, but I had to point out one more thing and ask you guys,
Please.
because I am blown away at what amazing marketers you guys are. No, I'm dead serious. I'm dead
Really?
serious.
What do you mean?
Dude, you guys had driving to Coachella last year.
Yeah. Oh.
The giant billboard, whoever's idea that was, you can take credit. You don't have to give it to PR firm or whatever.
Nah, we don't do that.
Fucking genius. And then this Subway show last night that we got to check out for the album release.
Uh-huh.
I mean, are you guys just always thinking what is going to get people talking? What's going to catch people's eye? What are fans going to like? What goes into the thought process for you guys?
Yes, but also we think about what opportunities to take and not to take.
And how can we have fun with it?
Like
How do you have fun with it?
the Subway thing, it wasn't an obvious, like, you know, it was like, is it worth it? Is it? And you're like, you know what? The low sort of stakes and the funny aspect of that is going to be worth it.
Also, like, another thing is, you know, I think we don't have the luxury of having like plaques on plaques on plaques on, like, you know, chart topping records, or the mystique of saying Chromeo album tomorrow, boom. You know, we don't have that luxury. I wish we did, maybe. I don't know. But I don't know what that feels like. So we got to pound the pavement and use every opportunity we got to create something fun. And in a way, you know what? That's cooler.
And find the Chromeo thread in everything, no matter what it is.
Like how, and also there's a lot of things of like, sometimes, and I hope this doesn't sound cocky, but like a giant billboard that says "Funk Yourself" on the way to Coachella is so much more universal than plugging an artist, because it speaks to everyone. You know what I'm saying? So there's these things of like, well, how come like that's like not like, it's like, obviously we're gonna do that. So much cooler than plugging ourselves,
Right.
you know?
No, I mean, the Subway show. Thank you again, by the way, for inviting us. That was fucking awesome, and letting us tape it. Fans are gonna love checking that out. But how do you put something together like that? First off, in this godforsaken city, where it's just chaos beyond chaos. Like, how did that all even become a reality?
So you guys got to know, we have a partnership where we divide the tasks.
Okay.
So a lot of it, if I may say, like, I'll come up with certain ideas, or I'll be like, yo, let's do this like this. And then P kind of works on the execution. And, you know, they're both complementary.
For sure.
You know, and then, of course, he gives me feedback on, you know, the ideas, and on the execution, I'll be like, well, maybe we could do this, could do that. But like, you could say there's like a bit of a divide like that, or I don't want to say a divide, like a complementary thing.
Yeah.
Macro, micro.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
so a lot of the Subway thing has, you know, P kind of, you know, working and putting that together.
I love it. So what do you guys got planned for this album rollout? What else you got on
So
tap?
this is something else we're doing. We're doing an in-store tour.
What's that mean?
So you know how like it's a very old school, like you would do like in stores, like signings and stuff.
Oh, like record release?
Yeah. So we're doing a tour of just in stores. So tonight we're doing Rough Trade in New York. It's sold out, but like, so we're doing that. Then we did Paris and London already. Next week we're doing Fingerprints in Long Beach, LA, outside of LA, and then Amoeba, San Francisco. So like all these fun things, like we're like literally like posting up in the store, signing records.
That's great.
You know, these just like little rollout ideas like that.
Dude,
That's great.
I love you guys. I want you to know that. This is not professional. I really do. I'm excited for the new record. Obviously,
Thank you.
everybody go listen to it now.
Please.
If you're in any of these cities, go to the in stores for sure. I
tour.
have one. And the tour, obviously, you guys are a live band first and foremost. Where are you guys hitting?
So we're doing like international, so Europe, UK, Mexico City in June, and then in the fall we're coming
US
back
tour.
and we're doing like 30 plus dates across the US and Canada.
That's heavy workload.
Seriously. Everybody get out there, support the boys.
You had one more question, yeah.
I had one more question. We talked about old collaborators. I want to know somebody you haven't gotten in a room with that you'd like to get in a room with. Because you guys, are you familiar with Khruangbin?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
They're
I was
nice.
watching their Tiny Desk this morning.
They're nice.
You guys could do something incredible with those guys.
Definitely. I met the singer over the summer. That'd be great. Yeah, they're nice. They're real nice. There's so many people. They're amazing. Like, they're good. Actually, what's the name? There's an Italian, the disco Italian guys, New Guinea. Yeah, these guys, or
They had to change the name. It's New Genoa now.
New Genoa.
Because New Guinea was like,
yeah, it was a little weird.
Yeah.
But so New Genoa, so they're
Genoa,
almost like an Italian Khruangbin, and like we could do something
a little more
with them.
disco.
A little more disco. Yeah, there's so many people like. But yeah, that's a great one. We're fans, you know what I mean? And like, again, that's a great example, right? Like, they've got the little wigs and everything, and you could easily be like, okay, that's a shtick. But when you're
those
here,
are wigs?
I think so,
Yeah,
or whatever, like that, whatever it is, wigs or not wigs, we'll have to fact check that. Doesn't matter. But like the haircuts, right? Whatever it is. Maybe it's not wigs. I'm sorry.
I really hope it's real.
I think it might be. It might be. There might be some kind of.
I did the research.
Yeah, there might be some kind of capillary treatment, whatever you want to call it, right?
Well,
but I'm saying you could very easily be like, "Oh my God, look at that little gimmick," and then you hear him play, you're like, "I can't say anything. This is fire." And those are almost like the best bands.
Agreed.
Yep.
It's actually better when, you know what I mean? It's like ZZ Top. That's why they're like such a huge influence on us, like the Beasties. ZZ Top, like we always wanted to be the ZZ Top of funk. Because like they look crazy, but they're in character, but you can't hate.
Yep.
They're the GOATs.
Well, yeah, it's like that band Parcels that's coming out of
they're nice.
out of Australia. It's that same
They're
vibe of
nice.
like
Yeah,
there's a
nice.
little bit of a gimmick to it, but the music speaks for itself.
Oh, so yeah,
They're-
you know everything. Yeah, they're nice. Woo.
I'm on these internet streets, dude. I see everything.
Yeah. It's amazing. You know what it is too? Is like P and I talk about this. to circle back to your first question, staying funky in your adult life. 10 years ago, when you were listening to our music in the clubs, music played a huge part in everybody in our friend group, I'm sure, in their lives. People get older. There's less time to listen to music. A lot of people listen to podcasts more than they listen to music. Let's keep it real. A way that we always say to keep it funky in your 30s, 40s, even late 20s, make sure music is still a real part of your life. You know what I mean? Because that'll give you that groove.
It's very important. And we were talking before you guys showed up. One of our favorite things about your guys' sound, what you guys put out, is it really, Colin said this, and I couldn't agree more. It really is something that you can just throw Chromeo radio on and shuffle.
That's cool.
And no matter what's going on or what you're doing, it's just good, fun, upbeat music, which there's not a lot of that today, to be honest.
True.
So
it's rare that I can find a band that I can, 1, be in the club, 2, be on a beach, 3, clean the kitchen, and still be throwing the same thing on, and I'm having a good time regardless.
And get ready for the club.
Get ready. Get ready music. Get ready music is key.
And get busy. It's the best hookup music too.
A lot of people told us that.
Oh, dude, girls are always like, "Who is this?"
That's interesting.
Yeah, you guys.
That's
got that
one of the
unlocked.
areas where we can't market test. You're not market testing your own music, right? In that context. So we'll take your word for it.
We've asked that question to bands before. I think it was Oxymorons, Dante. We had him in Chicago, and we said, "Have you ever to your own music?" And the one dude in the band was like, "Oh yeah, dude, absolutely."
That's
And,
weird. That's so weird. I
couldn't-
could never. You couldn't pay me. Never.
I could not imagine if I was in the act and all of a sudden my music came on shuffle, I would throw my phone against the wall.
Yeah,
Hear
no.
yourself? Oh my
Crazy. You're
God.
like, actually, the mix is terrible. Wait, you know, like, no, awful.
Throw
Nightmare.
everything off.
That's
Oh my
great.
God.
I want
Why
an
did I
image
do
of
that?
Dave every time I'm trying.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. When you're in a duel with your best friend, can you imagine that? Nightmare.
When I don't have my mom.
The
in it
one
while-
time I don't want to
while
see
we're at
Pete.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, why did I do that in the second pre-chorus?
That's how I would think.
That's how I would be too, brother.
Straight up.
Man, Chromeo,
All right.
you guys are the best.
You guys
Thank
really
you.
are. Thank you so much for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for last night. Great album. Adult contemporary. Check it out. Anything else you guys want to plug real quick before you got to get out of
We've
here?
been plugging. Let's play. Thank you. That's all we got to say.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yes.